Oh man, the news keeps getting better every single day. It's not even really about DeAndre Hopkins coming to Philadelphia, and if that's the case, then great. But mostly, I just kind of want to see how this all turns out. Is it going to be more about a team? Is it going to be more about a championship? Is it going to be more about money? That's what I kind of want to find out with this whole situation with DeAndre Hopkins, and I hope to, hopefully get to this point where we find out the truth, and more has happened with DeAndre Hopkins and Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. And I want to talk more about that and a little bit of news on Jalen Carter at the end. So let's get straight into it.
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
So the wait to training camp is almost here. And I want to go through, obviously, the new news for DeAndre Hopkins, which involves Jalen Hurts, that everybody on Twitter was kind of going crazy about the other day, on his Instagram, where Jalen Hurts is following DeAndre Hopkins. Now, I don't know if Hurts was following Hopkins really before this all happened, so I'm not really sure about that. And if it's a new follow, I guess when you follow somebody new, it shows up, I think, at the top of their list, and I think it was at the top, so this could be a new ad, of course. So that's a pretty cool thing. Now, he did follow Dak Prescott, so obviously he wants to keep the fans engaged and wants everyone to keep guessing. And it's an exciting time for DeAndre Hopkins, where he really needs to make a really big decision right now. As much as the Eagles really don't need him, if they do acquire him, yeah, it's going to be crazy. And this offense will be 10 million times better. And even though it's still a fantastic offense, regardless, is it more about money? Is it more about getting a ring? We're going to find this out, because to be honest with you, even being on the Eagles right now, just to me, if he's coming for an easy road to the Super Bowl, you sign with the Eagles, a weak conference, boom, you're done, right? If you're looking for statistics to get you a big contract, being on the Eagles is not going to help him. It's just not. He's not getting 1,300 yards as a slot receiver purely. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen as everyone thinks it's going to happen, or what he thinks is going to happen, because number one, he's got to fit the culture. Number two, he's going to want the football. I mean, who knows? You know what I mean? Like, as long as we're winning, who gives a crap, right? But at the end of the day, like, statistically, it's not going to help him get a bigger contract. It'll help him get a ring on his finger, but that's as far as it really goes, because you got Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, Dallas Goedert. That's what the offense runs through right now in the passing game. Okay. And for Hopkins to be that third option, it is what it is. But if there's a receiver that, if Devontae Smith had to stay out of game or something like that, he could fill that role immediately, you know what I mean, and be on and play on the outside. So that's a good thing to have DeAndre Hopkins in the building, because really all I've been thinking about is, what if we're so excited for this season, AJ Brown gets hurt, Devontae Smith gets hurt, somebody gets hurt, knock on wood, you have nobody to replace them. Nobody. Like I said, I've already talked about it. I would take Julio Jones's depth just in case. Like, and I know it's no difference maker than, getting DeAndre Hopkins, but, they have nobody to replace. Nobody. Okay. There's no one to replace our starting two receivers right now. Tight end, I'm not really worried about, because as long as our receivers are healthy, and if Dallas Goedert has one of his moments, usually once in a while, where he gets these little injuries, where they have to use double tie and sets, or have to use somebody else, we'll see. But you don't have any replacements. I'm not saying, replacements at the, you don't really have anybody decent that could start a couple games. That's the really scary part. We don't know what Jaden Hazelwood's going to do. We don't know what Joseph Nagata is going to do. We don't know what Charleston Rambo is going to do. We don't know what any of these other guys are going to do. And I'm telling you right now, I if one surprises me, I'll be shocked. But I'm going to root for the guys to really make some noise in that wide receiver room. But I I don't know. I don't really have faith in what we have behind our starters right now. So bringing in DeAndre Hopkins as an insurance policy. And obviously, if one of those outside receivers gets hurt, then you put Hopkins there, and then, Quez can jump right back in the slot if that's the case. If that's what they want to do on Quez Watkins last, really this signing for DeAndre Hopkins, or the interest level, wherever it is right now, it's really going to depend on how they feel about Quez Watkins going into this year. Okay, we know the gist. We know the story about last year. Good beginning of the season. Ended up getting a grade 2 shoulder sprain. He missed consecutive games. He, missed some catches. He's dropped some catches, especially in the Super Bowl, a big one in the Super Bowl where he wasn't playing consistent games. So, and they give him they give him one of the biggest throws of the game, and it goes right through his hands. You know what I mean? It bothers me. But I don't think Quez is a bad player. And even, they signed some competition behind him with Zaccheaus. Zaccheaus, a good prime slot guy. So there's a lot going on with this wide receiver core right now. As much as everyone thinks we're set, we are set. But if this is all true, and I think a lot of it is, I feel like there is interest there. Now, just because the Eagles have interest, it doesn't mean that they're going to get him, because we don't know what DeAndre Hopkins wants. Really, behind the scenes, we don't. We see reports it's $12 million a year, it's $23 million a year. You don't get $23 million a year with a good team. You're not going to get $23 million a year with a really good team. With a crappy team, sure, because they'll have more cap and they can maneuver a lot more with their cap. With the Eagles, they're not. With a good team like the Eagles, he's not going to get paid that much money, okay? And I don't think he wants the veteran minimum. It's just not going to happen. So I'm actually just really interested to see what happens here. Very interested, because we go back to Jalen Hurts, and obviously, he followed DeAndre Hopkins on Twitter, and everybody was kind of going crazy. But if you guys remember, a year ago, I think it was last year, and it was after one of the games we had, and it said Hurts don't it, and then he said that he doesn't run his Twitter account. So I think he runs his Instagram account. I think he does run it. So yeah, that's the news we kind of heard on that. And I think realistically I think if Howie feels like he could be a vital, DeAndre Hopkins could be a vital piece for Jalen Hurts and this offense, and he's selfless and he's not going to complain about his not getting the ball enough, because I'm telling you right now, as a number 3 receiver, he will not get the ball that much. He won't. Maybe he will. I don't know, because I'm not trying to make him the focal point if he comes here. Teams that really need him. Okay, the Cowboys, especially in the NFC East, I think the Cowboys need a huge move with him. They need to acquire him. I think the Giants should really acquire him. I think there's teams out there that really need his services, but the problem is is it more of him going to a better team? He has to go to a better team making less money. Okay, him going to a crap team making more money, him going to a good team making less money, that's the way it goes. That's the way it goes, because obviously if you're going to a really good team, there's big investments in that team, especially since the Eagles just paid a quarterback, which really isn't affecting us at all, but you still got big contracts on this team right now. So that's really the whole gist of this whole situation with Hopkins. I mean, it's great to see Jalen Hurts follow him, top of obviously his Instagram. So it means that he was relatively a very new follow as of right now. Fans usually check all that stuff out, and that's great. So if the Eagles are interested, they'll take a swing at, DeAndre Hopkins' agent and, be like, hey, we'll give him this much. That's it. We can't, the Eagles have 12. It's after free agency. It's after the draft. There's not much left you can do. All these teams have spent a lot of money already. Okay. That's the issue with signing this late. If this was the start of free agency and the Cardinals released him and he was out there, he would have probably made a little bit more money. Sure. But you're late in the process right now, and that's just that's just what it is right now. He's just too late in the process to get anything done for what he wants this late, with teams spending already. There's only a few teams with $12-13 million that have had interest in DeAndre Hopkins. Obviously with KC has had interest. The Chargers have had interest. I mean, would he go to the Saints maybe in the NFC? Maybe that's a team we'll go with Derek Carr in the Saints. Maybe they need a bona fide guy like him there. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of teams out there that would definitely acquire services. Him coming to the Eagles would just be, he's just joining a room full of dogs and a room that's offensively is going to score 35 plus points a game, might even more than that. So kind of crazy. But that is the news on DeAndre Hopkins so far with all that stuff. Now, the next bit of news is nothing crazy, but obviously the Philadelphia Eagles have been rumors floating around with Jalen Carter that he is going to be a handful this offseason. He will be a handful by training camp. Jalen Carter obviously, has promised, even when he was doing his Panini stuff, the trading card stuff, when he was interviewed over there and saying that he's going to be a better version of himself as a person, but not just that, but he's going to be a better player than he was in college. And, he's excited for training camp and the competition, and he thrives on competition, and I think that's great. So Eagles think he's going to be a big handful going to training camp, and he's going to challenge a lot of players, and not in a bad way. Not he's going to be not like he's going to be a cancer, or he's going to he's going to be very competitive. And I feel like if everything works out the way it does in training camp to the obviously the joint practices and stuff like that, when we see some raw video of what Jalen Carter can really do, I feel like he will start next to Jordan Davis this year. I think that there's a strong possibility, as much as there was fans out there saying, he's a first year, he'll probably, they'll probably put Fletch in there next to Jordan Davis, blah, blah, blah. I said, I don't think Fletch next to Jordan Davis is a really good complementary. I don't think they complement each other well. I don't. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like, obviously Fletch has fallen off a little bit, and obviously I think there's a lot of depth at defensive tackle now, which definitely helps him play a lot better. But I think Jordan Davis is the answer behind playing next to Jalen Carter is the answer playing next to Jordan Davis. I think that's a big one there. I think obviously going into training camp, it's going to give these Georgia Bulldogs more, just more aggression and more excitement and more determination, because especially Jalen Carter specifically, because he's playing next to one of his big mentors in Jordan Davis. I mean, how does that not excite you? You know what I mean? Like, AJ Brown joins Jalen Hurts. They're best friends. They're on the same team. And look what they did together last year in 1 year. You know what I mean? But obviously they've been practicing with each other every offseason, doing all those great things. But with Jalen Carter playing next to Jordan Davis and Nolan Smith being there and Kelly Ringo and N'Kobe Dean, it's just crazy right now. I feel like, I'm not saying there's gonna be fights or anything like that, but I think Carter's gonna be ultra competitive, like very they're gonna find out what Jalen Carter's all about. A lot of these offensive linemen, and who he's going to be lined up against. They're going to find out a lot about him very early. I'm excited to see him to go against our first offensive line, go against some veteran guys, see what he looks like there. So I'm pretty pumped about it. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about training camp going into the whole thing, and what players are you most excited for? But Jalen Carter definitely going to make some noise, though. There's no doubt about it, and very excited for it. So other than that, we talked about obviously DeAndre Hopkins, the situations. Let me know what you guys think, and Jalen Carter going to training camp. Eagles think he's going to be a big handful, and what they're going to see from him this training camp this year. So other than that, guys, if you lasted this long in this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the video as well. It does help out the channel a lot. We are getting into the dead zone right now. Once we get to June 1st and we see what's going on with trades, free agents, all that great stuff, and really a week after that, it's really going to be it. You know what I mean? It's going to be a dead zone. It's going to be real quiet for a while until training camp, until these guys get on the field and do their thing. So I'm excited for it. I hope you guys are too. We'll still be putting content down, and you guys have a fantastic day, and I hope everybody enjoyed their weekend. Enjoy your work week, and I'll see you guys on the next one. SHAKESQUAD up, follow us. Peace out, guys. Peace.